It's never too early to start preparing for the fantasy football season, so we're here to count down our top 5 sleepers at the wide receiver position. Let's get into it, counting down, starting with number 5, and that's going to be Campbell of the Indianapolis Colts. I get it, there's a lot of questions about him. First of all, the fact that he's barely played. First 2 seasons in the NFL, only 9 games total. He's been put on IR twice. And, there's sort of the matter of who's going to be the quarterback for the Colts. Well, we don't know yet. They didn't get Matthew Stafford, but I have a good feeling they're going to go through free agency. They're not starting over. This is a team that was a playoff team, a strong contender with a good defense and running game, and they have all the pieces in place. They're not going to start with a rookie quarterback. They're going to get somebody who can fill the void right away, and Campbell has a great chance to contribute because T.Y. Hilton is a free agent, and there's a good chance he's not going to be back. Campbell just needs to stay healthy. This is a guy who ran a 4.3 40 at the combine, so he's got the speed, he's got the playmaking ability. If he's on the field, he can do great things. So definitely a name to look out for later in drafts.
Completely agree. It's really easy to forget about Campbell because, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman had a mini breakout last year. We even saw Zach Pascal have some nice games. But you got to think, when he's healthy, he's going to be involved in this offense. Hopefully he's healthy next year, and he's a great sleeper as we head into 2021. And then I get to pick my guy, Cam Sims from the Washington football team. We really saw him start to come on down the stretch as the team's number 2 wide receiver. And he had that monster game in the wild card round against Tampa Bay. As the season went on, he just seemed to get more and more confidence and more involved in the offense. And there's a small matter of the Washington football team more than likely having an upgrade at quarterback. We know it's not Dwayne Haskins. It probably won't be Alex Smith. There were reports that they were trying really hard to get Matthew Stafford. You got to think they're out there trying just as hard to get Desean Watson. But even if they don't land Desean Watson, which I realize they're not one of the front runners for Desean Watson, they're still going to upgrade this quarterback position, whether it's through the draft, maybe through one of the other free agents, maybe through another trade. It's going to be better, as far as quarterback goes, for the Washington football team. So Cam Sims definitely going to get an upgrade there. This team really has no pass catchers outside of Terry McLaurin, right? He's their only guy. They really badly need a second wide receiver. Cam Sims could be that guy. So if you're in a deep league or a deep dynasty league or you're just looking for a sleeper, Cam Sims could be it.
Yeah, I really like what I saw from Sims late in the season. They were missing, like I said, that complimentary receiver to McLaurin. And Sims really proved to be a field stretcher, got a ton of air yards, even though he didn't have a lot of yards per game on average. He had some big games, and that's what you like to see from a sleeper, a late round flyer, is a guy who could come up with that big game. And he showed that he can do that, get down the field. And honestly, whoever they have at quarterback, it's got to be an upgrade. I think either they're going to move up and draft a guy in the top 5, or they're going to fill the void with a guy like Cam Newton or a veteran quarterback. All right, so speaking of new quarterbacks, you see a common trend here. Sometimes those wide receivers with some question marks on their offense kind of fly under the radar and people don't want to take a chance. Well, we know who the quarterback in Detroit is. It's Jared Goff now. That's not a big drop-off from Matthew Stafford. He's shown that he can be a prolific passer. And you know what? Quintus Cephas might actually be the number 1 receiver in Detroit right now. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay are free agents. Likely that both are not coming back. Even if only one of them does, Cephas should get a lot of targets. And we saw that they trusted him early in the season. Cephas is a guy who's very athletic, didn't get a ton of volume in college at Wisconsin, but he's very athletic. And so with another year on his belt, and remember, it was really tough for rookies in 2020, right? Didn't get the benefit of all those in-person training camps. You figure that he could take a big step forward this coming season. So I look for him to be a guy that is going to get totally slept on, but could break out.
Yeah, with Matthew Stafford leaving, you got to really wonder if A, Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones are coming back. Probably not. And B, are any of the big wide receiver free agents going to sign in Detroit now? Probably not. So like you said, that's probably going to leave Cephas as the number 1 wide receiver there in Detroit for whatever it's worth. But when you're talking about a guy who's a sleeper like this, who's really not being drafted anywhere, you can't get better than the team's number 1 wide receiver. Now, he may not have that week-to-week consistency, but he's a sleeper. You're looking for those booms. We know Quintus Cephas can boom. We've seen it. And we know Jared Goff can support fantasy-relevant wide receivers. He's done it year in and year out. So Cephas could definitely be a steal of drafts, in deep drafts, or even in leagues where he doesn't get drafted, could be one of those waiver wire pickup heroes as the season goes on. And then our next sleeper, Denzel Mims out in New York, second-year wide receiver. Didn't get to see a whole lot of them in year one, but there's reasons to be optimistic as we head into year two. Number one, the big one, probably going to get a quarterback upgrade, right? Whether it's a trade for Desean Watson or whether they draft, Zach Wilson or Fields, whoever's left over after Trevor Lawrence, whoever they feel higher about. Whichever way they go, it's going to be a massive upgrade at the quarterback position. And then number two, Rashard Perriman is a free agent, probably will not come back. It's very unlikely the Jets will re-sign him. And that will make Mims basically the de facto wide receiver one on the outside with Jamison Crowder playing the slot. And that's a great situation for a guy, right? You're the number one wide receiver. You've had a year under your belt to kind of get acclimated to the speed of the game, to the NFL. And you're going to have, a potentially top 15, top 10 quarterback at, throwing you the football. So all the stars are aligning for Denzel Mims. He's still a guy that no one's really talking about, going under the radar, not being drafted in most mock drafts. So definitely a sleeper as we head into 2021, who could be the type of guy who does give you every week consistency at the position.
Yeah, people out in New York definitely know Denzel Mims. The fantasy community at large is probably kind of ignoring him just because the Jets, it's the Jets. But this is going to be a very different Jets team next year, already with a new coach, with a new philosophy, a new culture. We don't know who the quarterback is as of yet, but if it's Desean Watson, this is an absolute must draft in your dynasty leagues. This is the time to field an offer and, try to go get Denzel Mims. I mean, he basically could be Will Fuller, except without all the constant injuries. And that's something that you definitely want to see, even if it's Sam Darnold. You know what? Give him a chance. Denzel Mims had a nice run there mid-season where he was pulling at least 40 yards a game for a few, and he showed actually a decent floor, not just the ceiling. So Mims definitely got to look out for it. Number one is going to be a guy that's now going to enter our collective consciousness because Matthew Stafford in LA, as we talked about in our video breaking down that trade, what are the fantasy implications of Stafford for Goff, Detroit, and LA? Well, you know what? There's a new wide receiver 3 for the Rams, and that's Van Jefferson. So Josh Reynolds, it just hasn't quite cut it. This team drafted Jefferson high for a reason, and that is to be that complementary piece to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Didn't have a very noisy rookie season, right? He was very much lightly used. But look at what happened at the very end in that playoff loss to Green Bay. 6 catches on 7 targets for 46 yards and a touchdown. Not huge numbers, but think about the fact that in the playoffs, they were using him that heavily. All right, so I think that now with a new quarterback who we know is going to sling the ball, right? He's going to be a guy who's going to get a lot more volume than people expect. So I look to Jefferson to be one of those guys. I'm not going to say he's a league winner or anything like that, right? He's still a third receiver on his team, but he could put up a lot of yardage. Basically is going to go undrafted for the time being.
Totally agree. Really like Van Jefferson. Like you said, we talked about him as a sneaky guy who benefits from the Stafford trade. If you look at this Rams offense, you got Cooper Kupp, plays primarily in the slot. You got Robert Woods. He runs those short, intermediate routes on the outside. They don't have that deep, take the top off guy like they used to have with Brandon Cooks. Well, that's what Van Jefferson can do really well. And if you look at Matthew Stafford, one thing he does a lot better than Jared Goff is throw the deep ball, right? We've seen it with Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, Calvin Johnson back in the day. It doesn't matter. He can throw the deep ball. He will sling it. This is a perfect opportunity for Van Jefferson in this offense to play that deep role, which is going to give him tons of upside. And we could see as the season goes on, his role only grow and grow. So definitely if you're in a deep dynasty league or any kind of deep league and you're looking for, a home run hitting wide receiver at the end of your draft, or maybe just a guy who's going for cheap in a dynasty league, Van Jefferson checks all the boxes. Definitely go out and get Van Jefferson if you can.
And I'll tell you what, Chris, I know you're a big best ball player. If you're doing those early best ball drafts, because you just can't wait to draft right now, even before the NFL draft, that's the kind of player you're going to target late. These guys that are basically going to be last round picks and could wind up helping your team big time. All right, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and of course, hit that subscribe button. We're here all off season long, covering everything NFL and fantasy football related to help you prepare to dominate in 2021. Thanks for watching.